All right. Hi there, Danitza. Good evening. How are you? How do you feel today? Is everything okay?
I believe, yes, everything's
Good. That's great to know. So today we only have one very simple lesson. There are many things again that we're not going to be covering. Instead of that, we're going to see our extra lessons. But today we're going to see this. But again, before doing it, I don't know if you worked on something that you want to show me so that we can check before starting with this, and then we continue with the transitional words that we are learning together. But let me know. Is there anything that you want me to check on the document that we got?
yes. I completed the tasks about
Okay.
fanboys and the trans about phrases.
All right. There you go. I
This,
believe that you were working some of them with also here.
no,
No, I
just
know
the
this was
last
the
one.
previous. Just these two, right? Okay.
Yes.
We're going to see how it went. Let's read, please, what you got in.
Okay. Okay. Diego usually wears white clothes because he's a doctor and it suits him very well. Today he decided to wear a blue suit, so all eyes were on him. His colleagues did not hesitate to compliment him and make funny jokes. But this only made us realize how much his ego was above all of us. He really enjoyed the tension and being the topic of the conversation.
All right. Good. Let's go to the next one. I'm going to give a general review of the two of them.
Okay. They prove that being able to play an instrument has many benefits. It makes you smarter, improves your social life, relieves stress, and gives you a sense of achievement. In fact, learning to play a musical instrument can enhance verbal memory, spatial reasoning, and literacy skills.
All right. There you go. Now let's check. I believe that we are missing um, one. No, you told me right. I don't know how it was what we stated that it's. I believe that it was one with a term, right, with a word, and one with a phrase, right?
Oh,
Or you told me one with that. No, it was one with each, right? One with a transitional word and one with a transitional phrase. You have one. It's good. Let's check how it is, and then we can work on a new one. But I believe that it was two. But let's check. All right, let's check. Now we have something here. I have few observations, but let's do it. All right, let's do it to again be sure that it is going to be even better. Now, Diego usually wears whites. Yeah, this is very general. You can complement with what you were saying, right? Wears white. It is not bad, but it is better to clarify. In English, it's always a good idea to use the object of every word that you use. That makes it more formal, and it leaves right any possible confusion, any possible misinterpretation aside. Okay, that's also part of the writing tips that we're going to learn in the following lessons because we're learning little by little, right? We started with punctuation marks. Right now we are with transitional words and phrases. Then we're going to go with the structure, specific structure for the essay, argumentative, persuasive essay, and then we're going to go to the writing tasks. All right, and in the writing, not tasks, sorry, tips. And in the writing tips, one of them says that we have to avoid, all right, language, narrative language that uses or metaphors or that eliminates objects or explanations, what we want to say. That everything has to be so clear that it's impossible to misunderstand this, okay? Because he's a doctor, makes us understand what we're talking about, all right? But again, in order, grammatically speaking, to be very precise with this, we're going to add what you said. Okay, that one. Then, because he's a doctor, and this is another complete idea, right? It suits him very well. Okay, because each subject suits verb him very well, the Today, right, this is an introductory phrase, always with a comma. Remember, for articles, even in the BBC, CNN, they don't use these commas because that's not academic writing. Okay, the writing for articles like that, all right, for media communication is different. They use a type of language that sometimes reduces the number of words that you use because of all the information you have to say, and they don't follow all the academic rules. All right. So again, it is not bad. Even it cannot be considered a mistake in every situation, but for academic writing, they can take some points away from you if you don't use that comma. Right. Introductory phrase. Today, comma, he decided to wear a blue suit. So all eyes were on him. That's a complete idea. Let's remember that, and this is a transition, not a transitional story. This is an interrupter. I remember that for interrupters, we can use only phrases or dependent clauses. Okay, phrases or dependent clauses, not independent clauses. It means not complete ideas that have sense just by itself or by themselves. All eyes were on him. That's a complete idea. Then that's not a transitional. Sorry, I'm making a lot of mistakes. That's not an interrupter anymore. All right, it is now a complete idea. You can change this and make it a phrase. All eyes on him can be a phrase. All right, all eyes on him, because you're taking away the verb and now it becomes a phrase. It becomes an incomplete idea that can be an interrupter or a parenthetical phrase. Okay, I was forgetting that expression, a parenthetical phrase. All right, we're going to see the correction that yes, and also this is a good suggestion from Grammarly. With all eyes on him, that's going to be the complete phrase. Okay, so we're going to clarify that as well. Okay, now again, why are we doing this and why are we taking the verb away? Because a complete sentence, an independent clause, cannot be a transition. Again, I'm making a mistake again, and it cannot be a parenthetical phrase. Okay, it's because again, it's in the name. It has to be a parenthetical phrase or an interrupter. And in the interrupter again, it can be um, a phrase or a dependent clause. Okay, a dependent clause is the beginning of your conditional, for example, right? If everything goes well, comma, that can be also an interrupter. All right. Now, here, you also have to decide something. For me, it's good that the logic that you follow, that is the semicolon. This is not a long idea, all right, but you're using this because of the commas, right? You're using a lot of commas. It's good, but you have another way to make this even better. But again, we're practicing fanboys over here, so we're going to leave it like that. But again, in order to make it even more justifiable, remember that it has to be something lengthy. So the first idea can be a little bit longer with something else to make it feel necessary. Because this point over here, not point, this period over here is giving a breath, all right? Is given a space, a pause. And that's why the idea that you have after this period, it doesn't feel as overwhelmed. So this semicolon again can be good, mainly because of these commas over here, all right? And the next idea that you got. But perhaps even the best place for this semicolon could be here. If you decide to use a comma over here with so, then you can use the semicolon over here with but, because then all of this is going to be a compound sentence with a lot of commas. So a semicolon over here could be a better option than the semicolon over here. Okay, again and again, I'm not saying that it is incorrect. It is correct because of your decision as a writer. But again, the only logic that I'm following is that we are not taking all of this into account to use this semicolon. No, we are just taking this into account. Okay, and this is a short idea. This is a very short idea that doesn't create a confusion necessarily, Danitza. Okay, and that's why again, I'm just trying to see the possibilities. But following the logic that I'm showing you, this semicolon could be optional, but not necessarily. All right, but let's keep going. Again, that's just a piece of observation and suggestion. I would say that perhaps over here, saying that all of this is using all those commas, and I'm going to justify better that the semicolon is here. All right, but again, that can be another alternative in a different universe. Okay, in a parallel universe, we can do that. His colleagues did not hesitate to compliment. Yes, down below we're going to do it. So over here, right? So, so with all eyes on him, comma, his colleagues did not hesitate to compliment him and make fun jokes or funny jokes. But, right, this is on, sorry, jokes, but this is only, let me see, we're going to see what's happening there. This only made us realize how much this ego, all right, or his ego, sorry, was above all of us. They gave a suggestion with a comma over there, perhaps. Let me check what they got. They are not showing. I don't know why. Do it with a comma. But again, these are the two alternatives. Using the semicolon over here as you're doing it, or using it over here. But again, that's going to depend on you. All right. In the two cases, it is not incorrect. It is correct because of the commas that we are using here or there. But it's your decision as the writer in that needs. Let's keep going. Though I'm going to mention other details over here. He really enjoyed. Yes, I mean that's not bad. I mean, let's see the correction. It's in terms of vocabulary, I believe they are not going to show that. All right, they want to use a different adverb to intensify that idea. Okay, he really enjoyed the attention and being the topic of the conversation. All right, everything else seems to be good. Those are my corrections or sometimes recommendations, observations, suggestions. Remember that here, mainly, what you have to take into account, what's in parentheses is optional if you want to avoid misinterpretation. This comma is obligatory following the rules for the commas that we know. This comma, again, it's not going to be a mistake for every writing exercise, but for very academic writing, it has to be there. With all eyes on him, that's going to be an obligation if you want that to be let's call it an interrupter. All right, a real interrupter, because a complete idea is not going to be an interrupter or a parenthetical phrase. Now, the option that I was telling you, using the semicolon over here or over here, it is your decision. But you have to always analyze where you are placing the two complete ideas. In this case, only this is the first complete idea. And again, as I see, it perhaps is not going to create confusion necessarily, but that's your decision, Anita, because the next part uses two commas after that and three commas even. So you have to decide that. And remember that you also have other alternatives. If you have this and you have another fanboy, it is your decision to use the fanboy again, or you can use a semicolon with a transitional word, right? Or a transitional phrase, a comma, and the next complete idea. Of course, here we're practicing the usage of the fanboy, right? Semicolon plus fanboy. That's why I'm not giving that alternative mainly, but that's it. I'm just going around the same ideas. That's what I wanted to transmit here, Danisa. Let me know first if you have any questions about this part, then we go to the next one. What do you say?
No, I don't have questions here. No, it's clear that this semicolon, no, is not justified with just the simple. So this option here looks better.
And again, it depends, right? Because both are good, but it is your decision, and you have to see if the reader, right? You have to be right in the reader's shoes to see which one is going to be the best option for you, right? But both of them can be justified. But again, it's always better if it's in the middle of two very complete ideas. Okay, I just making you notice that. That's great. Then the next one. It seems good, okay? It seems that I have not much observation in the case of the second one. Let's do it anyways, but I believe that I'm not going to have observation. Let's see. That being able to play an instrument has many benefits. Good. It makes you smarter, improves your social life, relieves stress, and gives you a sense of achievement. All right, now here again, you have to analyze if this is one of the options that you use with colon, or if this is another idea that has the same level and it's about the same topic of the thing that you're mentioning before.
Yeah.
Remember, if it is here, right, this column, we have to analyze if the column is correct here. All right, this. Why? I would say that a semicolon would be better. Okay, why? Because we only use the colon in this type of situation in two cases, right? Remember, one of them to give a short conclusion that gives us, all right, or that gives us an illustration, an explanation, a paraphrasing about something that is not clear. Of course, here something that is not clear is the many benefits. All right, but if you want to give a list of items, you cannot start a new complete idea here, and perhaps that's what you can change. If you decide to start a new idea is it makes you. That's a complete idea. Now, this is another complete idea. It's not only a list of items. That's why I believe that the column is not the best option here. So again, we can divide this in two universes, all right? And again, it's going to depend on you. First, if you decide to use the column, don't let's not use the complete idea. Let's give directly a list of items or elements that are going to be the benefits themselves. All right. I'm looking for alternatives to say what you're saying here. It can be using gerunds, all right, making you smarter, improving your social life, relieving stress, and giving you a sense of achievement. That can be one alternative, all right, turning again this complete idea, because you're giving me a complete idea, a clause, into just list of items. That's one alternative if you want to use. Okay, let's see if it's going to be possible. Again, it's going to sound not that good, but let's see if it's going to be good at the end. Making you, improving, relieving, exactly, and changing like that, right? Correct, exactly, yes, and Grammarly realized what we're doing. Now, what are we doing over here? We are turning a complete idea, a clause, an independent clause, into a list of items. And now the column is the best option. All right, it is going to be the best option here. They're just giving alternatives in terms of vocabulary. Smarter is going to be good. But again, why and when do you do this, Danitza? When you want to use a column with the rule of list of items. And remember, a list of items is not and cannot be what? Another complete idea. All right. Now, if you want to use this alternative over here, it's not going to be colon the thing, it is going to be a semicolon. And now this is correct, what you have over here. Why? Because you're giving me a new idea, let's say a new complete idea that is related to your previous idea, extending information. Yes, it doesn't matter what the next idea does. That means when you use the semicolon, it doesn't matter what the next idea does. As long as it is related, and it seems that we are still developing the same element over there. Okay, so here again, just in order to remember this, I'm going to make this bigger. All right, so let's keep going. They proved, right, or it has been proved, but actually in argumentative essays here, and this is another suggestion that you're going to see later on. Instead of they, you have to say who. Okay, even you have two ways of being formal here. You have to say this in passive voice, but that's not advisable. Actually, it's weird. But passive voice is not advisable for argumentative essays. Why? Because in argumentative essays, they believe that it is always a better idea to say who said that. As long as you can prove and you can mention names, you can mention places, and you can be very scientific and academic about that, the better in the sense of academic essays. So here, right, you can say this university or John Smith proved that being able to play an instrument, blah, blah, blah. But again, if you are not being that formal, but you still want to keep formality, then passive voice is going to be a better option. They who. So we don't have that information, we can use the passive voice expression, and that's what we're going to do here, right? We're going to say, it has been proven. Okay, and again, this is not the best alternative, but it is an alternative to be more formal than when you say they. They is less formal than this. This is mid-formal to formal and very formal, and the advisable thing to do is, I know that is not the case, okay, but it's the name that I have in mind, John Smith. All right, I mean saying who, not just they. Again, in the TOEFL, no problem, right? In the TOEFL, you're not going to have specific information, at least for your personal essay. But actually, in the in the task, in the writing task, in which you have a lecturer, right? You have to listen to something and read something. There, you have to use this way of doing it, right? You have to mention who said that. All right, but again, I'm just showing these two alternatives. Then in fact, this is the phrase, the transitional phrase that we had to use. That's perfect, additive. Learning to play a musical instrument can enhance verbal memory, spatial reasoning, and literacy skills. All right? It seems to be good. You are adding something as a way, right, of a fact that you want to show. So, and remember, it is good. Over there, for example, we don't need a list of items. We don't need anything else. The way it is, it's working good. Danitza, you were working on a change over here. I don't know, you were highlighting that part, but actually that's going to be my main set of recommendations or observations over here. I don't know if you have any questions, Danitza. All right, and I didn't correct the things. It is good. Okay, good. So remember, I'm giving you extra elements. My corrections, observations are not only related to the things we have to do, right? I always try to give you some other elements that you can take into account. All right. I hope that serves you to work on that in advance, because we're going to get to see that, but later on. Now, let's briefly see this presentation, and we're going to try to see at least one or two more categories for the transitional words and phrases. Here, reported speech, but not of every tense that it's only of imperative. So if I ask you directly, how do you write an example showing the reported speech of an imperative? And it's, what do you say? What example can you give? You can try first giving me one idea, something that is imperative or order, and then you give me the reported speech. How could it be?
Something like go to your bed, go and make something.
That is correct. Now, how do you report that speech? Go to your bed.
She said to go. Oh, I don't know. She said, I don't know if she said do they go to my bed?
Yes. And if you want to clarify that you received, instead of say, you can say, right, she said to me to go to my bed, or she told me to go to my bed.
Yes, tell me something like
Uh-huh.
that.
Exactly. It is better, right? When you want to use an object clarifying who received that order, that message, it's better to use tell. Yes, great. That's it. You know the lesson. Okay, so the lesson is over then. All right, that's it. That's reported speech. I mean, you're going to see with me, of course, the other reported speech with different tenses, but in this lesson, it's only imperatives. What is the difference between the teacher told us, comma, quotation mark, complete the assignment, period, quotation mark, and the teacher told us to complete the assignments? That one of them is direct speech. We use the exact words with quotation marks, and the other one is indirect speech, and we make slight changes, right? For example, we use infinitive instead of the base form. It's imperative. And we make changes as you did, Danitza, in terms of the possessive adjectives, if it is something that we have to do, right? If it is something that we have to do, it is correct. We know what reported speech is, right? We are saying what someone else said, and we are transmitting that information directly, or in this case, indirectly. These are some examples in other tenses that we're not going to see now, so we're not going to read them. We're going to go directly to our ideas for reported speech. Okay, again, as I told you, I'm changing all this little by little. I'm going to be working. So let's read this briefly, please. It's a direct and reported speech with imperatives.
Okay. Um, direct and reported speech with imperatives. In this topic, we'll work with direct and reported speech with imperatives. Direct speech, the principal said go to your classrooms. And in direct reported speech, the principal said to go to our classrooms.
There you go. Right, the main changes that we mentioned. Thank you, Danielsa. Direct speech, we have to say it with the exact same words. But in direct speech, we use infinitive, and we make other changes that can be important as possessive adjectives, sometimes pronouns, right? Sometimes time expressions even. It depends, right, of when you said that, but time expressions as well. This is the logic for direct speech. It's important that we can say these ideas and use the correct punctuation mark. So I know it's going to be too much, but just for practicing and remembering the exact position of every punctuation mark. And let's read everything, please, including every single element that we need for direct speech.
Okay. For direct speech, the following imperative the teacher do your homework. Direct speech who plus set slash told to whom plus comma or call plus quotation mark plus capital letter exact words plus period plus quotation mark. Uh, the teacher told us, do your homework.
Exactly.
Um,
Right? So it's a lot of things, but you have to use those elements if you want to be formal. It's not always a colon, and actually in English, it is sometimes more common to use a comma. But even though it's a comma, we have to use capital letter, all right, for direct speech. It has to start. It doesn't matter that it is with a comma. All right, one more time. Here, it has to be with capital letter. Here, it can be a period and it's, but it can also be a comma. If you're going to say something that is yours after someone else's words, but you're going to connect that with a fanboy, I don't know, right? Do your homework, comma, quotation mark, and he also told us to do this. So you can use a comma, but whatever you're going to use to connect the next idea has to be here in between, okay? The quotation mark and the last word. It cannot be quotation mark, comma, no. Quotation mark, semicolon, no. Whatever you use for the next idea that is not going to be that person's words right? Exactly person's words, exactly. But yours or someone else's that is not that person, you have to make that difference. All right, that's
Can
something
you give me
extra.
an example, please?
Mhm.
Because here, for example, the teacher tells us, comma, do your homework. And if I want
Exactly.
to add a fanboy here or some other idea using semicolon or yes, or
Of
comma.
course, no problem. So it's going to be down below, okay? After your examples here. Okay, direct speech. Okay, so remember the most common idea is Danitza. Okay, Danitza told me to write. Okay, Danitza told me, right, comma, let's say, please show me an example. I'm just going to say this, okay? That, comma, quotation mark, and I told her that it is okay, that it was okay. No, that is okay. Okay, that's one alternative. Look, here I'm using this because the next idea after your exact words, Danitza, is a complement of something that I am saying with my words. All right, it's not part of your words anymore, but I'm using a comma because I'm not finishing this idea. I'm complementing that idea with a fanboy, so with a fanboy and a comma. But I can do exactly the same, but I can say semicolon. However, comma, I told her that there is no time and she has to wait until the next class. Okay, and that's another example. And also here, I'm not using a period. I can use a period, of course, with however, I can easily use a period. And if I feel that this is going to be not completely direct related, sorry, to this, then well, I use a period and I use the next part. All right.
Ah,
So that's it. But that's going to be your decision. All right. Now, of course, now I'm speaking like this because this is happening now. All right, this is happening now. But here, if I'm making these changes, I can apply the logic of using past. Okay, because even though this is happening now, I'm going to pretend that this happened, all right, in the past. So I can say here it was okay to make those changes, that there was no time because I'm working with direct speech, and she had to wait until the next class, or even better for changing like this, the following class. All right, those can be extra changes if you work with direct speech as well, and you want to avoid any type of misinterpretation, making sure that this was a past thing. But actually, that's going to depend on you. All right. I don't know if you have any questions about this.
no, I don't have questions here, but something is it,
Yeah, I couldn't hear very well, Anissa. Something what?
new for me.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't clear.
All right, no worries. Yes, this is again not that common, but you're going to see actually this if you read some books and I don't know this not fictional right books, but the with narrative, you're going to see that they
Mm,
use these elements. All right, but again, in order to avoid sometimes misinterpretation, you can always use a period to finish that quotation, that citation, and then you go to the next part because that's the most common thing you're going to do with citations. At least for the essays we're going to be working with Danitza, the most common thing, and actually 99% of the time, you're going to use a period, then parentheses, right, who said that, and then the next part. But this works again when you are working with direct speech, again, or narration, when you're telling stories, when you're working with what people said and this and that and so on. when you are again narrating something. And that's not going to be common in formal elements. And in the TOEFL, it's very, very unlikely that you're going to use this because you're not saying, right? He said that, and I said this and that. It's very unlikely. But again, it's useful in just in case you work with this type of logic. All right, let's take that into account. We're going to work with some examples so you can apply this knowledge if you want. This is direct speech. Now, the examples, easy, right? Mom said, eat the vegetables, right? Capital quotation mark, capital letter, period, quotation mark. The same with the other two. We don't have anything new over there. For a indirect speech, we also have a specific rules. Let's read this, please. That is reported speech or indirect speech.
Okay. For reporting speech, the following: the teacher, do your homework, don't copy. On your speech, who plus said, to, told, plus to whom, plus verb infinitive, negative not to, plus sí. Any changes in position and time reference. I'll complement, I suppose. The teacher told us to do our homework. The teacher told us not to copy.
Exactly. Right? So again, just be careful with negative. Many people say to not. Right? The teacher told us to not copy, right? But no, not to copy. Right? Not being, not to, it's going to be the negative of gerund or infinitive. But that's it. All right? As you can see, this is something that you already did. So I know that you know this structure. You don't have any punctuation marks over here, so there's no way of getting confused over here. All right? That goes straight to the point. And of course, these are the examples, right? Said to eat all the vegetables, told us to hand in our papers, said not to come to his office the following day. And the elements that you can change, as I was mentioning, can be possession, your homework to my homework or our homework, right? And my car to his car, her car, because it can be reported for anyone else. Tomorrow to the next day or the following day, yesterday to the previous day, but it doesn't apply mainly in imperatives, right? But it's possible. Next week to the following week, now to then, right? Here to there to over there, this to that, these to those, right? Mainly because you are being a little bit separated from the action in terms of place and in terms of time. And that's why changing these elements can make your idea even better. Okay, again, not anytime is going to be necessary. That needs it depends in real life. It depends when it happened and where it happened. If it happened at the same place, sorry, at the same day that you are referring to, then you don't need to change anything, right? But it happened in a different place and in a different day, you can have these changes. And of course, you can even mention the day, right? Instead of yesterday, you say on Friday or last Friday, something like that, right? So real life situations give you more opportunities. It depends how you want to apply this knowledge. But that's it. I don't know if you have questions about this lesson. It is a simple one. I believe that it should be good for you. But let me know, please, Daniel. So, do you have any questions or anything about this lesson?
Mm, no, I don't have questions, but as you mentioned in the TOEFL exam, I use this, right?
It depends. It depends. As I told you, actually, the one that I showed you, I said you are not going to use actually the thing that I showed you, right? Why? Because that's more narrative. And there is no task in which you're going to be asked to say, right, he said that, and I said that, yes, and
Oh,
she responded
yes.
that. So it's something that you don't use that often. Even in the, you can use this direct speech, all right, in two places mainly, and your TOEFL test, that is when you are reporting what the lecturer said and what the reading excerpt, right, stated about something. right? You can say, and the lecturer said the following about that, but actually in the TOEFL, you work more with indirect speech than direct speech. Okay, it's not going to be that common that you say the lecturer said, comma, quotation mark, this, and that, unless you got to write everything exactly, all right, using the exact words from the lecturer. That's good. But remember, when you are taking notes, it's very, very possible, Danitza, that you're not going to get to write the exact words. It's going to be not the case in most of the cases, all right? So you're going to be paraphrasing. You're going to write, take notes just with the main words, and with that you paraphrase. Right, so in that case you don't. But the reading excerpt, if I'm not wrong, you're going to have it with you even in the last part. And it's more possible for you to take a specific elements from the reading excerpt for you to use. So you can use sometimes direct speech over there, right? As it was stated in the reading excerpt, right? Comma, quotation mark, you show something in detail. But again, they are going to value even more than that. And it's how you can paraphrase that. So if you use those exact words with direct speech, then you have to paraphrase, right? It's important that you always use your own words to explain and to make the examiner clear that you were able to understand that very well. All right. And again, another alternative, perhaps optionally, is when you're working in the task with a question, right? What is it better? Is it better to learn a lot about one object only or one subject, or to learn a little bit about everything, right? Support your response. So if you're going to show exact words from someone, that again is going to be very unlikely, but you can invent that, right? You can make that up. If you get to do it, do it. But once again, it's more common to use indirect speech than direct speech for the TOEFL.
Okay.
All right. Okay, good. Now, let's go then to see one, if it's possible, two more categories for our lesson. We got to see this, right? And where's the, okay, over here. We got to see adding information. We're going to work first with the green ones, okay, that are the most important ones, then we work the white ones. Let's read, please, Danitza, the second one that is the most important, referencing. Let's read the transitional words, the transitional phrases, and the examples that we got over there, please.
Okay. Reference concerning this, regarding this. As for phrase with regards to phrase, the subject of looking at this information. Considering the amount of research in this area, little evidence has been found. With regards to the blue whale, its teeth are also the largest of any mammal.
Okay, there you go. Now, this is important. Actually, this is very important. And mainly, remember, I was talking about the task, right? The writing task in which you talk about the lecturer or the expert and the reading, right? Passage. You have to go back to one of them. And referencing is what you need, right? So this, actually, that's not the best thing to put over there. I'm going to change that. Here, parenthesis phrase. So what is a phrase again? An incomplete idea. Here you can say, considering this, considering that, considering, right, what the lecturer said, comma, considering what's in the written passage, comma, all right. Here, the semicolon is also to divide this, but remember that it's all of them, unless you have a clarification, all of them use the formula that you know from the beginning. Complete idea, semicolon period, one of these transitional words or one of these transitional phrases, comma, complete idea. Okay, always. Unless I'm going to clarify here that it is an exception, there is no going to be an exception. Okay, so here you have to do the same. Once again, complete idea, semicolon, period. these words or these phrases plus comma plus another complete idea. Okay, your previous idea, of course, can be only one complete sentence or can be a complete paragraph actually. And it's okay. So you have a complete paragraph, and next part can start with this, and you can say again, considering, concerning, regarding, and you mention what topic you're going to go back or refer to now, and you start talking about that. Right? So in the first paragraph, you talked about iron, right? The benefits of eating vegetables. All right. But in the next part, you're going to talk about fruits, or you're going to talk about, I don't know what else could it be. I'm going to talk about fruits. All right. So regarding the consumption of fruits, comma, it is also important to mention that it has a lot of benefits. Period. For example, comma, it is said that eating this, and that, blah, 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 blah. Right? So regarding, considering, concerning, to mention what you're going to talk about. Now, it can be something new that you're going to bring to the conversation, or it can be something that you already mentioned and you're going back to that element. It's the same. As for the fruits, or as for the benefits of fruits, with regards to the benefits of fruits, on the subject of the benefits of fruits, looking at this information, looking at the benefits of fruits, and so on, right? So in all these cases, you can use phrases. In some of them, it says this, or this information, but you can use phrases. Any phrase, any incomplete idea that you want to clarify what you're going to talk about now. Okay, so a common way to practice this, and it says again, that the first complete idea is talking about one topic, then you use period or semicolon plus one of these words, and now you're going to talk about something else. All right? Or in the first complete idea, you mention a lot of things, you give a lot of items, right? It is important to learn about this, and that to be an expert in this field. Regarding this, and you mention one of the items that you mentioned in your list of items, and you start developing that. Then in the next part, you talk about the next item. Regarding this item, comma, you talk about that, and then you go to the next item and so on, right? So it's an interesting way also, Danitza, to develop a set of items that you talked about at the very beginning elements in your essay, and then you start developing those items little by little by using this reference in transitional words or phrases. Okay, that's again, I'm going around that idea, but that's what I wanted to transmit. I don't know if you have any questions about the way we can use and we can practice, because right now we're going to work with two exercises to finish the class. One using a transitional word, and actually all of them are going to be phrases in this case. All right, considering this and that, it's incorrect that it is here. All right, but one with the list that you have over here, and one with the list that you have over here. And that is, I don't know if you have questions or any comments. Let me know, please.
Yes. Both concerning and as for both lists are considering phrases.
One more time, please. This considering, concerning, regarding, are there phrases?
Yes, are working as phrases.
Yes. That's why again, I don't know why they are in this category. In this case, they shouldn't be considered in terms, because anytime you have more than one word, it is going to be a phrase. Okay, automatically. So if you say, you don't say only considering, you have to say considering this, considering that, right? So it's automatically a phrase. They are going to be phrases.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, good. There you go. So let's do it, please. Denitza, two examples. All right, try to focus. Don't look at your cell phone. All right, don't get distracted. Let's work only in these two elements, please, Denitza. One with considering this, concerning this, regarding this, or any phrase you want instead of this, and one with as for with regards to the subject of looking at. All right, let's have 5 minutes for those two examples, and we check this.
Oh, Jose Luis,
Yeah.
before we finish class, do you know something about my grade? maybe.
Oh yes, I didn't share that with you. I'm going to share that, please. I'm going to send you the link directly after the class.
Oh,
All
okay.
right? All right.
Okay.
We finish the class. I'm going to go there and I'm going to send you the link so that you see it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, good. Now you're welcome. All right. So how are you doing, Danitza? How much time do you need? Do you think that you need? We can check one at least today, and then the other one can be homework. But let me know how you do before I go.
Uh, I need 2 minutes for the first.
2 minutes? Okay, let's have those 2 minutes. You finish it first, we check that, and the other one is going to be as homework, all right?
Okay, thank you.
Good. All right, so I'm going there. Let's try to finish that idea. Then remember, for the next class, we're going to finish the other one, depending, right, on what we were able to work on with now. So I'm going there with you. Let's read, finish those details that you're finishing, and let's read this.
Okay. Over years, people have wondered if UFOs are going to visit and stay. Concerning this, the History Channel has developed a whole series of narratives related to unknown events.
All right. Yes. Yes. Again, right? It can be about any idea that you can develop, but I believe we're using this transitional phrase in this case, right? It says word but phrase correctly because you're mentioning something in specific, and concerning that thing that you just mentioned, you are saying the following about that, right? Of course, concerning this can be or has to be related immediately, right? After the idea that you're mentioning, but you can also mention something that you didn't mention before, but you have to mention what, right? Concerning this element or something specific, comma, and you develop that. But it is good. I believe I have no observations in this case. Here, of course, right, instead of UFOs, also one of the examples that I got in my presentations, it means, right, UFOs are non-flying objects, but a non-flying objects, right, it can be anything, even human, right, flying objects. But we can talk about directly about aliens, right, or life forms that are, well, not part, right, of our planet or universe. But again, that's going to be valid. I don't know if you have any comments before finishing, because again, the logic that we're following for this is correct. What do you say?
No, I don't have questions.
All right. So remember, your homework is just doing the same, but this time you have to use a transitional phrase. But again, one transitional phrase from the other group, and this time you're going to try to do what I told you. First, in the first idea, you can mention a list of items, Lisa, and you can mention 2 or 3 items over there. And in the next part, you are going to refer to one of those items. Right? So I like bananas. I like, I don't know, right? Onions, and I like this. I'm just making that up. So in the next part, you're going to say, using one of the phrases, you're going to mention one item and you're going to develop about those items. Okay, that's one possibility. The other possibility is that you talk about any topic, you talk about bananas, all right, and period, then you're going to talk about apples, right? Concerning apples, as for the apples, comma, I believe that apples are beautiful, and so on and so forth. All right, so in that way you see that you can use these transitional words and phrases referencing Anita in these 3 ways: continuing something that you just developed, mentioning an item that you, well, mentioning a list of items that you want to extend or expand more, or when you want to talk about something else that wasn't mentioned before, but you're introducing that new idea. All right, so you can pick one of those elements that I mentioned, but that's it. I don't know if you have questions about that, Anita, as I'm sending the poll for today. Let me know, please.
No, I don't have questions.
All right. So we have to complete, please, today 2 polls. This is the 4th class. So we have the daily survey, the daily poll, and we also got the satisfaction one. Okay, we are already in the 4th class. It is being very fast. So, is this the one? No, no, this is the one, sorry. And that one, please. That's it, Anita. Thanks for being in today's class. I hope you have a good night, and I'll see you on Wednesday to continue working and practicing together.
Yes, Jose Luis, did you send me the link?
Yeah, tell me, Anita.
If I was wondering if you sent me the link about my grade.
Yes, as I told you, I finished the class. I'm going to go to the link so that it's not going to be public over here, all right, because they told me not to show that. And I'm going to send you directly to your WhatsApp now.
Okay.
All right, there you go. All right, so thanks again. Have a good night. I finished the class. I go to look for it and I send the link to your number then.
Okay, thank you, Jose Luis.
Oh, you're right. You're welcome. Have a good night. See you then. Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye.